Welcome to the Oakley Podcast, Trucking, Business, and Family. This show is brought to you by Oakley Trucking, headquartered in North Little Rock, Arkansas. The purpose of this podcast is to communicate with Oakley owner-operators and their families by giving them up-to-date information concerning Oakley trucking and the trucking industry. From business advice to safety updates to success stories. Also to give an insight to outside truck drivers that might be interested in joining the Oakley family. Hi, this is Jeremy Kellett, Director of Recruiting at Oakley Trucking, and I'm your host for this podcast. This is an episode that is an addition to our weekly episode. So I wouldn't do an episode in addition unless it was extremely important, and this episode is very important. So I need all of our owner-operators to listen carefully to what we're about to talk about. I got Randy Caldwell and Clayton Smith from the pneumatic division in here to discuss preventing contaminations to the customer products. Also, on the phone, I've got two of our owner-operators, Donnie Williams and David Carothers, that are joining us too. So, to give everybody, all our listeners, some credibility to know who they're talking to here, or who they're listening to, let's start with you, Randy. Give us, I know you're in the pneumatic division, but give us a little bit of history from you.
Well, my name's Randy Caldwell. I've been with Oakley 19 years. I guess you call me a load coordinator / dispatcher. I've been terminal manager in New Mexico. When we were out there for 8 years, running sand pretty much. Ended up shutting it down when the oil field crashed. I'm back here trying to You've done dumps. I've done dumps. I was in dump division, became a load coordinator there from 2002 to about 2007. Then I went out to New Mexico, went out there for 8 years, run that out there from 2008 to the end of 2015, and now I'm back here after we shut it down out there. So
now you're doing pneumatics.
Now I'm back in pneumatics. So here we are.
Okay. All right. And Clayton, what about you?
Yeah, it's Clayton Smith, and I've been here for coming up 2 years now, and I started out in dumps for a few months and came over to pneumatics and helped out, and now I'm dispatching the vacuum pneumatics.
Okay, good deal. How about you, Mr. Donnie?
Well, I've been with Oakley actually a couple of times. We started back in '91, and we was there for like 3 years, and of course had to move on. We had different things going on, but we came back, and I've been here going on 3 years now, and we started out in a dump, had to pull it back then, for 6 months before you could get a pneumatic. And then they put us on a pneumatic vac when we came back this time, and we're loving it.
Good.
But, like I say, I've been driving since 1979, so we've been on the road most of our life.
Okay. And Mr. David Carothers, give us a little history on you, please.
I've been with Oakley 13 years. I started out full of end dump the first year before I could change to pneumatic. Been on pneumatic the rest of the time. I started driving in 1970 over the road, and I am very well pleased with Oakley.
Well, we're glad to have you guys. I appreciate y'all calling in and discussing this subject of contaminations with us, because it is a very important topic that we need to actually, we really need to have a serious tone about it, this podcast. So we try to educate everybody that's listening to us on preventing contaminations. And the reason I wanted, everybody to introduce themselves is so our listeners got an idea. We got some people here with some history, been here a long time, and been driving a long time and doing this stuff. And so, I want them to know we do know what we're talking about when it comes to Oakley. We got a lot of history here at Oakley too. So now, with that being said, a couple of things. Let's get into this and see. I want everybody to understand, though, since 2020 began, and it's been a crazy year, for whatever reason, contaminations with end dumps, hoppers, and especially pneumatics has been extremely high, out the roof. Wouldn't you say, Randy?
Yes, sir. It is. I've never seen it like this. This is crazy.
Yeah. So, the purpose of this podcast is to get our listeners' attention, our owner-operators' attention, and everybody to try to understand a solution to the problem. We're not blame don't really help. Who's blaming? It's our owner operators, their truck pulling Oakley trailer, and we're trying to provide good customer service without contamination. So, give you a little. Here's a little idea here of what's been going on this year. Oakley has paid out $235,599 in claims this year, and we've still got 6 open claims. And that means they hadn't been resolved yet. And out of that $235,000, our owner operators have paid $81,394 of that. So that's their escrows that we've gotten. And like I said, still 6 open claims. So, it's happening way too frequently. We all need to get on the same page on how to fix this problem and what to do. I want to get you guys, the dispatchers and load coordinators' perspective of solutions, and I want to get Donnie and David's perspective as a driver out there every day dealing with a pneumatic tank or a hopper or dump, since they've done both. So we need to find a solution to figure out, because we're losing. We have to terminate some owner operators because of these problems, and it's very frustrating, and we lose customers because of these problems. So we got to find out a solution. We need everybody to pay attention and listen to this and figure out what they can do. If you've got input also, I encourage you to call in and talk to us. You can email me on the oakleypodcast.com. You can call Randy or Clayton or any of us up here at the office and give us some feedback on this podcast too, because we're looking for solutions. So let's start with maybe a couple of situations that have happened you guys got, and because I'd like for our listeners to be able to understand what happened in the beginning, discovered of the contamination, then what happened afterwards and what it cost us. You guys got any of that?
Well, recently I had a driver pick up a load of lime out of Batesville, Arkansas, going down to a customer in Bungay down in Destrehan.
And it's on pneumatic?
This is on pneumatic. Okay, he got all the right information. I mean, he was clean, good to go. This isn't it ended up a contamination, but it's just the product he picked up. He picked up the wrong product. He went in to loaded it. Everything was fine, sealed it up. Everything's good to go. They didn't check the bill of lading where he was supposed to go. Driver didn't check it. Customer didn't check it when he got down there. Took a sample, unloaded it. All right, we contaminated a silo. Wrong product. Okay, this starts a big line. You just starts. I mean, all right, now we're shut down. Company shuts down. They put some of this product on a barge. So now it's going overseas. So now we have to send in back company to vac out all the silos, clean it up. Now, not just dealing with the customer where we delivered, we have to deal with corporate office, and then they have a corporate office overseas. So now you've got a string of emails and phone calls that are going on for days and weeks that you just can't finish. It just keeps going and keeps going. Now all of a sudden they're saying we're contaminated product overseas. So, right now, last I seen we were up to 50,000 or somewhere in there.
So how long a time is this? So from the time Oakley loaded or unloaded the load,
it was caught about 5 days later. We done unloaded a couple more loads on top of it. So now we lost that revenue because we had to pay for it. You got to bring in an outside company to clean it up. Then you're dealing with the EPA. You're dealing with other products that they deal with. I mean, it's just a chain that never ends. And it's still going on today. And this happened 3 or 4 weeks ago.
Is this one of our open claims?
This is one of our open claims. It's still going. It's just you got to read the bill of lading.
What could have prevented that?
It could have all been prevented by reading the bill of lading. That's what it broke down to. I mean,
either by
the shipper, the driver, and the customer that received it. Nobody caught that it was the wrong product. Nobody caught that the bill of lading was wrong. We do this load 2 or 3 times a week, every week, and it's just repetition. And, people just
So you think they loaded the wrong product at the shipper?
They loaded the wrong product.
And nobody caught it.
Nobody caught it there. Driver didn't catch it on the paperwork. He didn't catch where the bill of lading said to take it. He just took it and went.
And even the customer,
and they took a sample of it.
You would think they'd realize it's a different product when they took a sample.
No, they just took a sample and put it right there.
It doesn't matter though. I mean, that's the end result is all they know on the and you guys need to talk more than I do because you deal with it every day. But in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, all they know is Oakley delivered this load.
That's all they know, and that's all they really care about. So now we've got a strain between our relationship between the customer and us because we're trying to, to resolve the problem. All they're talking about is downtime and money, and we're trying to prevent downtime and money. So I mean, it's just an ongoing battle that on this side, a lot of people don't see, and the driver. I'm not blaming it all on the driver, but he could have prevented it. Mm-hmm. But also the shippers could have prevented it. They didn't, they didn't check. He told them he was loading for Bungie Destrehan. Well, go over here and load. Well, he went and loaded. He did what he was told to do. I mean, it was the right location. Everything was right, except for it was the wrong product. So, I mean, the receiver should have caught it, mm-hmm. but it just never ends. I mean, how do we get to the driver to make sure this doesn't happen?
Right.
Yeah, and I guess that'd be a question for, Donnie and David. What do y'all do when y'all get loaded and after you get loaded going to the customer? I mean, how can y'all prevent something that simple to not happen?
Right. What can we do to help you to make sure that this doesn't happen where you catch it? I mean, we're to that point.
How about you, Donnie? You got input on this?
Well, I was going to say most of the times what we get is a load number. We don't get per se what product it is or what it looks like. We just know when we're going to pick up PVC powder. We don't know the grade or anything else about it other than that load number and whatever rail car they give us to pick up out of.
Right.
So basically, we get a sample out of the rail car, and of course, most places want to run your sample before you can unload it. So ours is totally different from what you just described,
Okay.
Right. Well, David, you're on that side. I mean, what can we do to help stop? This one wasn't really a contamination other than what we put in the silo. I mean, but what can we do to help y'all stop just this little stuff that's going on that's creating the big issues is what it's going on. So.
Well, basically, you read your bill of lading. Well, you give them the right information when you get there and make sure they give you the right place to load and you load the right product and check your bills and make sure it says you're going to where you're dispatched to go. Even loading soda ash, when we load it, there's trucks that goes to Marlton, there's trucks that goes to Muskogee and everywhere else. Here the other day, some loads was going to Muskogee and their bill said Marlton and they didn't pay any attention to it. So that was a mess up right there. But it was, that was on the driver because he did not read where he was going with the product. He just loaded it and took off because that's where he was told he was going. Was to Muskogee, so he loaded it and took off to Muskogee. He didn't realize his bill of lading said Marlton, and even had the load number was different, but he didn't check it. So that's one thing we can do is make sure we read the bill of lading and not just get in a habit of, okay, I'm going to this place or that place. Make sure we read the bills and say it's going to where we're supposed to be.
Now, do you think that was more of kind of us giving y'all the wrong information through the Qualcomm, or do you think it's at the shipper just kind of loading you to whatever they had ready to go? Because I know
you talking about this particular
this particular deal with David's talking about going to he was told to go to Morrilton, or vice versa, but it ended up going somewhere else. So I know some places they'll just load whatever's available and then give you the bills, and then it's completely different than what, we dispatched them on, because we've got multiple trucks coming in a day going to different locations, but whatever they got ready, they'll just load the truck with.
Right.
And so that, I guess, it's just something the drivers just got to double check with the dispatcher if when they get the bills, if that's where they're going or what needs to happen.
Actually, I think on that load, it was pickup number was like one number difference, and just took off for the wrong bill.
How about another example, Clayton? You got one?
Well, it's like, because mine's more of the trailer's just got to be clean. It's got to be spotless. And the hoses got to be spotless.
Okay. You got an example of one that wasn't?
Yeah, I mean, we're going through something right now here off our yard, and the driver just blows the trailer down, thinks it's clean, and I don't necessarily, we can get into it and point fingers all we want, but you got to check the hoses with our products, because the prior products can get stuck in those hoses, and you just, you may blow the hose out and it's dry, clean, but if you're not checking inside of it, looking into it, those pellets can get jammed.
So let's talk about washouts then.
Okay.
Getting a trailer clean. So on the inside, from dispatch, how do you guys make sure a trailer's clean?
Well, the only thing we can do from where we're at is when a driver calls in, first thing we ask them, they say, "I'm empty, where we going?" Okay. Next thing we do is we ask, "Okay, are you sure you're empty? Have you double checked it?" That's the first thing we got to do. That's the first thing a driver needs to do. When he gets empty, he needs to make sure he climbs up on the trailer and looks, see if he's empty. Because there's so many different products that stick to the sides or stick to the roof that, you can blow it down and beat on it, whatever you want to do, and you just can't see it or you don't hear it. Like I tell drivers, I ask them, okay, when you're empty, do you go back through each pod and blow her down? I mean, once you show you're empty, do you go back through each one of them and double check it and then climb up and look on it? That's what we need. Right now, it's got to the point that that's the first questions we're asking. Have you double checked and triple checked? Even after a washout, you have to do that. I mean, you get to a washout, you're clean. A lot of drivers go out and blow it down, but won't double check it. And I'm not trying to point fingers, but that has to happen. Right now, it has to happen. You've got to look.
Is that the case, Donnie?
Yes, it is. I mean, like I say, most washouts don't have the right stuff to clean your trailer with. So you've got to check it, and you got to have a good light to check it with.
So even after the washout, even if it comes off our yard washed out, anywhere it gets washed out, what does the driver need to do after it comes out of the wash?
He needs to get on the trailer and double check it before he leaves this yard.
Hoses,
everything. He needs to blow her down, get her dry, and double check it. Because a lot of times it'll look clean after it's washed, and then you blow it down, and then you'll realize something's stuck because the product color comes back out. So you got to double check, and then it'll get in them vibrators. That's, we tell them to blow your vibrators out after every load. It'll get in them vibrators, and then all of a sudden it'll come out with the next load. You got to blow your vibrators out.
What's your experience, David, on some of these washouts and washout facilities?
Yeah, vibrators is one of the main things on a pneumatic. Of course, I know the plastic trailers don't have, the vac trailers don't have vibrators, but the trailers we use and do. And when you get washed out, if you don't blow the vibrators out, some of that product's down in the vibrator, and when you hit the vibrators, it's going to come out in your trailer. So then you still got residue in your trailer. Now, once in a while, we'll get to a place we have to wash our own trailer out. Well, we'll take a water hose and wash it out. And what I do is I fill up each pod above the vibrators, turn them on, let them run for a little bit. That way I know the product's blowed up out of them. Then I rinse it down again. And that way you get all the product out. But a lot of places we go, all they have is a water hose, and unless you specifically do that, then you still gonna have product in your vibrators, and it's not gonna be clean. Look clean when you look down in it until you run the vibrators, and then you got dirty.
Let me ask Donnie, you and David this question. So do we need to do a better job at providing our owner-operators with better wash facilities? Do we need to, find the best wash facility out there? I mean, we don't want to send you to a crappy wash that's going to be part of the problem.
Sometimes it's just impossible to get to a good truck wash,
right,
or a trailer wash. I mean, you be 200 miles from somewhere, and the best thing you can get is a garden hose.
That's your experience, Donnie?
Yeah, I mean, basically, you just have to tell your dispatcher, say, hey, look, we're going here, but this is not the best facility. And like I said, you may not can get to another one. So you just going to have to double check it and make sure that it gets cleaned.
And I'll try to, even take the driver out of route, route them to a different wash. Just because there's only so many that will do conversion washes for a vacuum pneumatic. A lot of places
we
won't.
pay them to go out of route.
Oh, yeah.
And I'll route them to that washout that, that we can get the job done the best that we can. And I try to take them through that route. And I know, Donnie, I just want to ask, like, what do you do, if you're having trouble with the hoses? Because I feel like that's just the main problem with a vacuum pneumatic is the hoses. Like, what can you do to make it clean, even if the washout's having trouble, but then you go out and you're able to clean it? What's that process?
Well, I mean, basically, you have to carry a bunch of extra rags with you, or go in the truck stop and buy them, and you just have to get you some water and put on them, and blow your rags through there, and then, like I say, if you got stuff that's stuck in there, you got to hook them up and stretch them hoses and try to get that stuff out of there. But most of the times you can clean them. It may take you a little longer. And a lot of these guys won't pull the hoses out to clean them. And some places we go, even your tubes have to be clean. If they find one little thing in that tube, they'll turn you down.
Talk about the inspection of the trailers at a customer before they load us. Is there different?
Yeah, like it especially at, say, the PVC side at Formosa compared to the pellet side of Formosa. It's completely different how they inspect you. And I don't know, and that could be something Donnie could explain better than I can because he's loaded at both locations.
Okay. Well, your PVC resin, the powder, that's where they're really strict at, and that's where all of your tubes have to be cleaned. So basically, even after you get them washed out, you're going to have to take a rag and wipe them things down because your stainless steel hoses rubbing on that aluminum causes black. So basically, you got to rub them down even after you get them washed down. And they're going to check everything, even your filter on your blower. They want to know when it's been changed. So basically, it is a process where you have got to do everything right down there to get loaded.
Have you guys ever been rejected, had a trailer rejected, or been involved in a contamination?
I have. And it was down at Seabreeze, and what it was the bottom line where the water had run left a little streak down through there. So I basically had to leave and go back to Houston to find somebody that had the brushes to brush your pipe out with. And I couldn't load till the next day. But other than that, the trailer was clean.
Right. That just shows how particular a lot of shippers are on that product. It's got to be a clean trailer. I mean, very clean trailer. So,
well, we have a couple customers, one in Alabama, Emery's in Sylacauga. The inspector will get up on the trailer and take a white rag or his glove and reach inside on the top and drag his hand. And if it comes out dirty, he will reject the trailer. So, it's just...
Which is good.
I mean, it is good.
They're doing their job. and we've got to do ours where the driver gets, he gets washed out. He needs to double check the trailer, needs to blow it down, make sure it's right, and double check the product line. Because a lot of times they forget about that product line, and that's just human nature. And, you're clean, we're good to go, and then get over there, and they'll do a white rag. And then we got to go wash again. Here we go again. And
well, the white rag, to me, I mean, yes, you hate to get rejected because it throws a kink in everybody's plans. Now you got to go find another washout or whatever to get clean enough for them to load you. But to me, that's great. It beats the heck out of dealing with this contaminated silo and then already in a barge going overseas, and we're still don't even know the cost that's going to be in the end. So, I'm all for the white glove guy. I mean,
well, just like last weekend, we had to wash some tanks, get them washed here on the yard. Well, had a driver said he washed out a certain number of tanks. Well, the number he gave me did not get washed out. Well, I had another driver come hook up to the trailer, just opened the bottom valve, nothing came out, never looked inside the trailer.
And we told him it had already been washed out.
Yes, sir. We told him it was clean, ready to go. He goes, loads it, gets down to the customer, opens it up, ammonium nitrate comes out.
Oh, no.
So, I mean, there you go. You got a rejection. Driver never checked the trailer from the top. So, I mean, what else? I mean, we did what we thought we did right, but, we still got to be double checked. Everybody's got to double check. So, I mean, and I'm not blaming 100% on driver. It should have been clean, but, at the same time, somebody's got to check it. You're our eyes out there.
It's kind of like a loaded gun.
Yeah,
unloaded gun. All the people get shot with unloaded guns. That thing's unloaded. Well, you got to double check it every time. Check it every time that thing is unloaded. Well, you got to double check these trailers that they're clean. Even if we tell you it's clean, it's obviously that's our mistake, on our end. We didn't get the trailer clean. We didn't go check it, and it's here on our yard to make sure it's clean.
And that come off our yard,
off our yard, and it wasn't.
The man he washed out 19 trailers. Well, he had a list, and I guess he checked it off and thought it was done, or just skipped it. So,
give our listeners a perspective on dealing with customers with a contamination. So, just an idea where they can understand what the ripple effect is with a contamination. I know you hit on it a little bit earlier with, this one going into
from our
silo,
side,
but
it'll start off, nobody knows there's a contamination. Then all of a sudden, a week later or 2 weeks later, you'll get an email. Start off, hey, what was the prior product on this trailer last 3? Did you have a washout? Now all of a sudden, red flags start coming up. Something's going on. Then all of a sudden, okay, we got contamination. All right, so you're trying to provide proof that the trailer was washed out. We had the right product. Now we're trying to see samples of what was in the product. Was it ours? Was it another customer's? What was it? Well, this goes on for weeks. It seems like you're calling, you're talking to them, you're trying to find out exactly what's going on. And there are a lot of time customers hush. They're not going to tell you 100% what's really going on until they finalized it. So they're trying to pinpoint the load,
whose fault it is.
Whose fault it is. They checking cameras. They
do it all. They check it all, and and they're making product. So how much of other products are damaged, or not any good, or contaminated? So I mean, it ends up could be a month process, could be a half a year process. I mean, it goes where you're trying to say, okay, we did nothing wrong. Okay, then they're saying, well, you did something wrong. And you're trying to prove, both sides is trying to prove, that we did what we're supposed to do right. And, they're trying to pinpoint exactly what's going on. Then all of a sudden you get corporate involved, somebody in Chicago or wherever. And now they're not there. They're sitting behind a desk. They don't have a clue what's going on. They're just getting a message or memo saying, hey, this is what's going on. Well, now you've got to deal with them, people that weren't on the job or, wasn't there. So you're trying to explain to them what's going on. Plus you're dealing with, now you've got 10 different people involved.
And I think that's what kind of shoots you in the foot, because you're building that relationship with the customer. You're talking to them every day. You're pleasing them, making them happy, bringing them, the product at a timely manner, and they're getting the job done. And then you slip up once, and then they're trying to back you up, but then they get the people above them involved that you've never talked to, and so then you just get a bad image through them, and it just hurts us all the way around. And it's just something that we've got to try to prevent, because no matter how many times you do it right, you slip up once, that's what they remember.
Boy, isn't that the truth?
Right.
All those good loads you do.
Then you have that one bad one.
And that's the one they'll remember.
And it doesn't go away. It's there. I mean, we've lost customers.
I was going to say, have we lost customers because of contaminations?
We have lost customers because of it, and it's taken us years to get some of them back because of it. They got a bad taste, and they just, they'll get somebody else. All you can do is do the best you can do. Try to make sure the driver understands exactly what you're trying to do, and a lot of it, that's on us. But at the same time, the driver is our eyes and ears out there on the road.
Let me change to end dumps real quick, because I know Randy's done dumps for years. David, I know you did pull an end dump for years. And Donnie, I think you did. You said back in the 90s when you first started. End dumps are a little bit different than pneumatics, but we still haul a lot of different products that, we can't have any contaminations. And it's happening with those now too. It's not just happening on the pneumatic side. It's happening with hoppers, and it's happening with end dumps this year. For whatever reason, it's become a problem this year. So I don't know. I didn't write down any off the top of my head, some that's just recently happened.
We just had one the other day. A driver picked up a load of ball dirt, and they have to put plastic down. Dispatch told him to make sure I think he had some SB2 on last, some gravel. Supposed to sweep it out. You got to clean up around the front of the trailer, up around the lip, under the tarp, edge of the tarp. They got to put plastic down so the ball dirt doesn't stick.
Right.
Well, apparently, they told him to sweep it out real good, clean it out, and put the plastic down. Well, he put the plastic down, didn't sweep it out. He dumps it, plastic comes out, this SB2 comes out on top of it. Oh. So now you got a whole load of ball dirt that has rock in it pretty much. So biggest thing is, it's we've got to have.
So when that happened, did you get a call?
Yeah, they got a call, got pictures, and now what do you do? So now you're paying for a load of ball dirt. You lost the revenue of the haul. Now you got to replace the ball dirt. So
they
now you got
red-handed.
Yeah,
there's no going around it.
And you're trying to take care of the customer.
And the worst thing is, what's it make us look like? Because like I say, and I want people to realize this, because we say it's Oakley could have done this, our owner-operator could have done that. It does not matter. It's our owner-operator's tractor pulling an Oakley trailer, and that customer has no idea whether it's, most time they don't know if it's company truck, owner-operator, what. They don't care. All they know is it's Oakley trucking screwed this load up.
That's
and there's
it.
rock in my ball dirt, and I can't spread it on my field.
That's it.
What are y'all going to do? And
then what do you do?
What do you do?
You got to clean it up, and you got to replace it. You're trying to save the customer, because like Clayton said earlier, that one load, that's all they remember. Yeah. And then you're trying to, take care of the customer and trying to make everybody happy, and you're not trying to blame nobody, but it's Oakley.
David, what is your perspective on cleaning out a dump trailer? Because I know you did it for years. I know that's got to be challenging as a driver to get it clean. First of all, you got to, is that clean enough type deal you got to look at? I mean, because I'm sure there's, you got to know the load that you're hauling next, and is that clean enough? What's your perspective on that?
Yeah, a lot of times, stain don't really matter on some products, but other products you got to have it super clean, because if it's stained, they will reject it, and the stains is hard to get out of a end dump. You got them out in use pressure washer with acid or something to get them cleaned down. And if you don't have a facility to do it, it's not going to come super clean. And another thing on the end dump, some people don't realize that this product gets up there by your tarp on your top rail, and it'll shake down in there and that'll contaminate it when you thought it was clean just looking in the trailer, but you forgot to look up around the edge of the tarp.
So how do you clean that around the edge of the tarp up at the top rail?
Pressure it out, or either get up there and sweep it out, or just make sure that there's no debris left up in there around the tarp.
Good. Donnie, you got any input on dump trailers and getting them cleaned out good?
I really don't. It's been a long time. I didn't pull one but for 6 months, but we always had to sweep ours, and like I said, you had to make sure that stuff wasn't on your tarp.
Is there any good shortcut? Probably shouldn't say shortcuts, but is there any shortcuts on cleaning out a dump trailer, or special tools that guys need to get that will help them get a trailer cleaner than normal? David, you know of any of that?
Not any shortcuts. It's just a lot of work sometimes.
There you
just
go.
sweep and sweep and sweep till you get all the residue that was left from the last load. And if that don't do it, you got to go get it washed.
Good deal. Good deal. Main thing is just making sure it's clean. And I think knowing the next product is a big deal that Oakley needs to tell the guy, that's going to pick the load up, what the next product's going to be also. Don't you, Randy?
Yeah, I agree with that. And a lot of times we really do not even know what the next product is. I mean, we put loads in and, that's on us. We should know what we're hauling all the time. So, I mean, we get the load in, they'll send it to us by email or fax it to us or scan it, however you want to say it, or just tell us to go pick up a load over here. And then when we've done it 1,000 times and, they change products, we don't change the product. Like in Lacing, Kansas, we load out a Harsco and U.S. Mineral. Well, it's a slag, but there's 3 different types of slag. So which slag are you hauling? So, I mean, it's, we've got to do a better job on our end to make sure the driver knows what he's picking up. And you were talking about special tools. Personally, if I was pulling a tank, I would have a 12-foot pole with a scraper on the end of it on the top of my trailer strapped down. I mean, I can't understand, because a lot of times the product does stick that you can see. And you can, you're standing on top of your trailer, you can take that pole and scrape it down to where you can get it out of the tank. I mean, in my opinion, that would help tremendously.
What do you guys, Donnie and David, y'all think that'd be a good idea?
I actually have a pole underneath my truck with a brush end on it to push my product down with.
You're talking about product stuck on the inside.
Right, because a lot of times, and I've had to have stuff up there, it took me 8 hours to unload because they loaded it just a little bit too wet. And, of course, they don't tell you that until you get to where you're unloading it at. So, yeah, I had to have something to push it down with and actually stood up there the whole time, and the wife run the blower when I'd shut the lids and, to keep from having to climb up and down.
Okay. Well, I think the moral of the story is what we've got to take care of our end as a company, as dispatching correctly to the driver and specifically, and then the owner-operator's got to take their responsibility is to make sure that the paperwork's correct, they got the correct product on, the trailer is clean before they load it, to double check it. I mean, that's because the customer, and is it ever the customer's fault?
Never.
I mean, probably never.
I would say never. I mean, it's our responsibility to get it to them the way they want it. That's what they want Oakley for. We strive to be the best, and that's what we preach. Hey, if you want it done, call Oakley. We'll get it taken care of. And when we don't take care of it, we look like a bunch of idiots.
That's why we charge the high rate, and that's why we pay the high per mile to our owner operators. We try to be the best paying pneumatic company in the country. And I think we are. We pay our owner operators very well. When you talk about the mileage pay, you talk about the CSA pay, you talk about the annual bonus that we get, that we pay them. I mean, I feel like we pay really good, but as a company, we've got to take that responsibility to make sure we're giving our owner-operators all the tools, all the information to work with. And then the owner-operator, their responsibility is to make sure their bill of lading's right, the load's right, we got the right product on, they're unloading in the correct facility, and all we can say is double check, isn't it? I mean,
make sure you're dry, check it. Check.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what we expect, maybe expect's not the right word, but that's what we're counting on from a driver, to make sure that trailer's clean and ready to go, because you're our eyes out there.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't do anything but rely on what you say.
Right.
I've got to trust my driver to do what needs to be done. I mean, he's got the Oakley signs on the side of his truck, and that's all they see. Like you were talking about, they don't care who it is. They just
know it's Oakley.
They just know it's Oakley.
Yeah. And we're well known for good service and prompt service and doing things right and clean cut owner operators, having the best owner operators in the business. I mean, we hear that time and time again of how good our guys are, how good a service they provide, how good their equipment looks, how good our equipment looks. And all it takes, like we talked about earlier, is just one or two bad loads to put that bad mark, on us, and they never forget it. So it's a tough subject to talk about, guys. I appreciate Donnie and David. I appreciate you guys joining us today to discuss this, because I really wanted to get a driver's perspective from what we can do, and I think you guys really helped a lot on giving us some good information. So I appreciate you guys joining us. Anything else y'all want to add?
Well, it's kind of like this on that. The loads, I mean, we like it when we get the same loads, so you don't have to go through all that. But the way I look at it is every load has to be checked and double checked. So I look at that $5,000 like I want to keep it. And I don't want Oakley to have to pay out and go through all the stuff that they have to go through. So in order for me to do my job to the best of my ability, then I get to keep my $5,000, and I don't cause any problems for Oakley or our customers.
Very well put.
Right, and on top of that, it's just there's no reason to take a risk. I mean, let us know, like, if we've got to go above and beyond to get somewhere else just to get the trailer clean, just let's do it. That way there's no risk, there's no hoping nothing happens. We just know we're doing it right.
Got to have communication between the driver and dispatch on if they don't feel comfortable about loading a trailer, they need to be called.
Right, and it just saves a headache.
And it saves so much down the road, because we're not just contaminating. When you're talking pneumatics, we're not contaminating a load of baseball dirt. We're contaminating a whole silo that possibly could be put on a barge that can just lead to, who knows, the dollar signs are still going up.
Still going. I mean, it's just in the tank side, it's just you don't know what you're getting into. I mean, and same way with plastic. I mean, you're making thousands of parts with that plastic, and all of a sudden you got this little white speck going through each one of them, and it's a black piece of product or whatever, and the whole shipment's contaminated. I mean, so
well. We beat it pretty hard today. I think we've educated a lot of people. Our listeners will do it. I know we went a little long today, but I felt like it was important for everybody to hear. And we didn't even get to the hopper side, but it's hopper, end dumps, pneumatics. It's all. We're all hauling dry bulk material. It's got to be what the customer requests. It's got to be good, clean product. We got to do our job as a company, and our owner operators are part of our company. We've got to be on the same page, and we got to provide excellent customer service. That's what we're known for in this industry, and we got to continue to do it. And there's no getting away from that. We're going to continue to do it the best we possibly can. We just need everybody's help, and we all need to be on the same page. All right. I appreciate everybody listening today. If you got any questions, comments, please contact us. Any suggestions, we'll sure try to get that out there and answer all of them that come in. I appreciate all y'all listening to the Oakley Podcast, and we'll talk to you next week. Thanks.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Oakley Podcast, Trucking, Business, and Family. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to rate or review the show in the podcast platform of your choice and share it with a friend. We love hearing from our audience, so if you've got a question, comment, or just want to say hello, head over to our website, theoakleypodcast.com, and click the Leave a Comment button. We'll get you a response soon and may even share some of the best ones here on the show. We'll be back with a fresh episode very soon. Thanks for listening.